out one area, and it came up certainly at Congressman Mitchell's forum, and I'm afraid it's coming up with increasing regularity throughout the state, and that is the fact that the fraud artists are coming right in behind the troubled homeowners, and in many cases taking the last few dollars that they have to try to work themselves out of the mess that they're in. And that's such a compound tragedy that I believe we have a really serious combined obligation to find these people, report them, and let me volunteer that our office has done a few prosecutions, but we would like to do a lot more. Our complaints are up about 30% in terms of what I call the foreclosure rescue scam. And we've got a couple of hallmark prosecutions already in place. But I know, and I know you know, that that is such a tip of the iceberg situation. For many people, they don't think of the AG's office as the first place to call if they've been defrauded or they think they're about to be defrauded on a home loan. So please help me get through that information gap to try to make sure that people in trouble know where to turn. The second part that you all have your hands on the pulse of is, and I'm hearing it all over the state, people believe that in order to work with the federal program or in order to work with their lender, they have to have a third-party advocate. Now, we all know that's not true, but it's still the word on the street. It's still what I can't tell you how many times I've got a call. Who do I get on my behalf? How do I get a cram down for me? And I left the Harry Mitchell program last week with a very serious, very troubled homeowner who showed me the cards of a couple of lawyers who had been making that pitch over the phone, basically saying, without me advocating for you, you don't have a chance to get your bank to change terms in your favor. And we're still struggling for ways to counteract that impression. Because I'm afraid troubled homeowners, A, often are not that sophisticated, B, want to have a helping hand, and frankly would like to have somebody advocate on their behalf. And perhaps the answer they do not want is the most effective advocate is you, to bring your financial information, sit down across the table from the banker and tell your story. And that's what I know, and you know, is most likely to get a result. But that's not what people are hearing right now on the street. And there are an awful lot of charlatans who are all too willing to sit down with people and say, I'm the secret to getting you a lower mortgage rate. I'm the secret to getting you your personal cram down. I love that. I never thought of that as a work of art. But and people who've been in the predatory lending industry are quickly transitioning to the foreclosure scam industry. And they're very good at what they do. They're very fast talking. They very usually, I think always, know the words, know the scheme, know what sounds official. The case of Bobby John Herrera, I hope you're familiar with. Very fast-talking young man who had worked for a mortgage company, working out of his car in West Phoenix, basically word of mouth, largely in the Greek community, where they were telling people, hey, listen to this man, he knows what he's talking about. He had people fill out a bunch of official-looking forms, and then he did nothing. He had a price list. I'll never forgive him for this. Scam artist with a price list. $1,235 was what he charged, and he did not give volume discounts. One guy had 10 properties, so he charged him $12,300 bucks. I thought, you know, the least you could do is kind of break for the guy with 10 properties. And he's now pled guilty, so I can talk about his case. You know, others are in the pipeline. But my plea here today is we know we don't have them all. And the financial frauds that are involved here are insidious. They're rapidly growing in our community. When you hear about them, please give us a call. We're also working very, very hard with Bank of America Countrywide on an agreement with the Attorneys General. Terrence Gates is in the back. We borrowed from the Department of Housing to help us try to put together a community outreach program in conjunction with this group to try to do the most effective job we can to help get the word out to people in trouble and help get them the kind of common sense solutions that you brought forward here. But as you just heard, we're still looking at an emerging problem. We've still got a lot of troubled homeowners that are out there. We need to catch them before they destroy their credit, if at all possible. And so I really am putting up the banner for your help, frankly. We need to keep working together. I know you all have done a tremendous amount, and I very much want to cooperate with you and work with you to take the next step, to try to, one homeowner at a time, try to make sure that we try to find relief for folks. The federal program, a little like the cavalry, is just over the hill. I'm sure Rebecca will come in and save everybody, but it's going to maybe take you another month or two. Longer than that. And maybe the secret is just constant application and ways to reach people who I know, you know, are hard to reach. The thing I learned just a few summers ago, and it's now been almost 2 years, when we met with the 20 largest servicers in the country in Chicago. And what they told us, and I believe it's still the case, is when they asked somebody to come into a home counselor, or financing counselor, with all the mail they'd received from their lender, they would do it, and the mail would be unopened because they just didn't want to talk to these people. Well, somehow we've got to bridge that gap, and that's one of the things I'm struggling with, and I know you are, is to try to, how do you make sure that the housing counselors, the lenders, the servicers, somewhere out there, the securitized entity, are all at the table, all talking sense, and trying to keep the homeowner in place. I think we can do it, but it's certainly going to take a continuation of the kind of task force focus that you brought to the table, and I thank you very much for that.